Okay, y'all, calm down. The thumbnail is not as outrageous as you think it is. I get it. Sure, you could misconstrue it into making it seem like a bigger deal than what I'm trying to actually portray, but hear me out. Today we're talking about Bo Horvat, Vancouver Canucks captain and current trade chip, also goal-scoring machine, and Oxman himself, and just how much of an impact he has made so far in the past 82 games he has had. Now, I'm saying it very particularly with that kind of language because of a stat that I saw pop up on the subreddit earlier today. It's one that I thought was really interesting, and it kind of highlights just how good Bo has been in terms of his overall production. Now, I know I'm the most fickle YouTuber out there making videos about what Satyr Shah said on the radio about how Bo was not helping his team win, and how he's not being good enough and not doing the things that a captain needs to do to forcibly help his team win hockey games, but at the end of the day, when it comes to Bo Horvat, we all kind of know just how much of a beast he has been. He's been a goal-scoring machine, and even though the assists really aren't coming out there, I think this stat posted onto the Canucks subreddit by Sahil910 kind of articulates just where everything has gone and to what extent it's gone to as well. Take a look at this post made on our Canucks. Bo Horvat has scored 50 goals in his last 82 games played. In his last 82 games dating back to late November 2021, Horvat has scored 50 goals and 77 points. Horvat is literally a 50-goal scorer right now. And this is why I wanted to make the thumbnail and the title the way it is. Because the comment section of this individual post is going out there and saying, what do you mean he's literally a 50-goal scorer? It's a lot different scoring 50 goals between 2 seasons in the span of 82 games rather than scoring 50 goals in one 82-game season span. And while I can agree that that is fundamentally different, I still do think it is worth pointing out just how many freaking goals this guy has scored in his last 82. Sahil also made another post on the Our Hockey subreddit. Bo Horvat, in his last 82 games played, has scored 50 goals and 77 points. And so if we take a look at that in isolation, 82 games played, spanning from November 2021 to now, 50 goals, 77 points, that's 27 total assists. The guy has pretty much decided that he is going to be the trigger man, and he made this decision, let's say, about a year ago. And to be honest, it's not really all too difficult to understand why this has happened. I mean, Bo is parking himself in the right spots in front of the net, he's getting rebounds, he's getting tips, he's still the trigger man on that left hash mark for the inside pass on the power play. His on-the-rush sniping ability has been phenomenal as well. And what I really wanted to talk about when it comes to Bo and his stint of 82 games is how the semantics of this kind of coincide with the Auston Matthews thing of last year. The reason I made the thumbnail the way it was is because, hey, when people are talking about how Bo's 82-game stint doesn't really validate the 50 goals that he has scored in that span, my first instinct is to think about Matthews and the 50-goal span that he had last year. Now, if you're not paying attention, Auston Matthews last season had 60 goals in total, and 51 of those goals were noteworthy because in the span of his own 50 games played, he had scored all 51 of those goals. Now, Matthews missed a little bit of time with a suspension, I believe, and the 50-game stint that he had wherein he scored these 51 goals did not start at the beginning of the year. It actually took Matthews a while to get going before he put up 51 goals in 50 games. Now, there's a lot of debate amongst hockey fans and Leafs fans as to whether or not it's valid to say that Matthews got 50 goals in 50 games, and from that perspective, I'll probably say no, because the 50 and 50 landmark that was accomplished by Hall and Gretzky and Maurice Richard, that's always sort of been defined as 50 goals in the team's first 50 games of the year. However, when you say Auston Matthews scored 51 goals in a span of his own personal 50 games, that in itself is not incorrect. Less impressive than the regular 50 and 50? Maybe, but is it still great? Yeah, it still is. It's why we made the video back when the Auston Matthews landmark was accomplished, saying, hey, he did this, like, that's incredible. And when I think about Bo and this situation with him scoring 50 goals in 82 games, I sort of default to the conversations and the discourse that we had about Matthews as to whether or not his 51 goals in 50 games, his own personal 50 games that is, was noteworthy enough to talk about in the first place. And so at the end of the day, I feel like this conversation is mostly one about semantics and what fans consider to be valid in the conversation of productivity amongst goal scorers, because Bo Horvat is a guy who, as we had said in the past few videos, he's priced himself so far out of Vancouver's available range that, I'm not gonna lie, man, seeing him get 4 goals and 4 assists in his past 2 games, 2 multi-point 4-point nights in back-to-back games, like, I get kind of excited seeing that, because it's like, ooh, look at him, he's really boosting up that trade value. Sure, in a vacuum, without context, the Vancouver Canucks could just give Horvat whatever it is that he wants, but when you acknowledge what else they have on their roster, what they need to do, what they're going to have to do in the future with Elias Pettersson, they can't re-sign Horvat to whatever money demand he's going to be having, especially with this season he's got. I mean, even ignoring the 82-game span that he has had spanning back to November wherein he has 50 goals, he's on pace for 59 goals in 81 games this year, so yeah, he's still kind of there. I mean, he's only on pace for 27 assists, too, which is kind of a testament to how little assisting Bo Horvat has done this year. I mean, look, he had 2 assists last game and 2 assists the game before that. Before the games against the Sharks and the Oilers, Bo Horvat was at 31 games played, 20 goals, and only 7 assists. Like, even just this stat line right here, 24 goals and 11 assists, is kind of nuts when you acknowledge how little assisting Bo has gotten done. It's like, you look at the pass that he made to Brock Besser yesterday to set up Besser in the slot, like, where's that been the whole year? Jeez, Bo, spread some of the goal scoring out for everybody else. I get it, he's tied for second in the NHL in goals right now with Tage Thompson and a few behind McDavid, but like, this season, I don't think anybody should be looking at this year's point production and saying that that is going to be the norm for Bo, heading into the next few years of whatever contract he ends up receiving. The guy's career high before he started producing like crazy was 27 goals in 2018-19. The 31 goals he got last year in 70 games played, that's encompassing the stat that we had looked at earlier where he's got 50 goals in his last 82, but at the end of the day, the guy is producing, and sure, you could go out there and say that on a given night, you'll have a Bo Horvat performance that is definitely not worthy of being the captain of the Vancouver Canucks. I think Satyr Shah kind of hit the nail on the head the other night when we had talked about the comments he made about Bo, but still, even though some nights his team absolutely stinks, he's usually going out there and getting enough points that some other team is going to take a look at and say, yeah, no, he's worth giving an $8.5 million AAV extension to because he's that gosh darn good. I'd be interested in seeing where he goes literally like next year or in 2 years in terms of his goal scoring, but at the time, he is still one of the top guys in the NHL, and the semantics about that remind me a lot of Auston Matthews. So, ton of the comments are your thoughts about Bo Horvat and the recent stint of scoring that he has been on. It's been 82 games, and he's got 50 goals in that span. Do you count this whole thing as saying he's a 50-goal scorer? Do you think it's sort of similar to the Matthews thing that we had talked about earlier? Or is the Matthews thing, because it's contained within at the very least 1 season's worth of play, already separated from what it is that Bo has accomplished, because 82 games played over the span of 2 seasons is a lot different than 50 games in the span of 1. Ton of the comments are your thoughts. I hope you enjoyed this video. And bye.